Brothers, welcome to our program this morning on Studio Galaxy 473 in Confero. Studio Galaxy 473 Confero. And as usual, you are today will be entertained by the Galaxy Equalizers. Joshua Luis is here together with me. And we're going to look at the topic why we abandon the Grenada farmer. Why we abandon the Grenadian farmer. We have some technicalities that we are trying to master. We don't have the talents, the skills, or the money yet to manipulate the internet. So when the internet provide challenge for us, that we could surmount it and get through. So we go this morning, we're going to try a recording and we're going to post it on. Sorry, we would not be able to entertain your calls, but we will try. And the topic is why we abandon the Grenadian farmer. And we want to provoke discussion. We want the farmers to sit down, watch up in the sky, watch around them, and ask the question, are you abandoned? Who abandoned you? Who neglect you? And I have my brother Joshua. So when we ask these questions, I could always turn and ask Joshua. Joshua,
Mm-hmm.
and you have a name that comes from the Bible.
Yes.
So you're supposed to be a kind of shepherd for the farmer, even if you are unrecognized shepherd.
Yeah.
I know your passion
Mm-hmm.
for agriculture
Mm-hmm.
and for taking on the big guns.
Yeah.
So Joshua, why do you think we abandon the Grenadian farmer?
Yeah. Well, Joshua, to be truthful with you, is a warrior, not so much of a shepherd. He swings a sword. I think the farmers have been neglected, left behind, and I think it's mainly due to the growth of tourism or the service sector, as we know. The concentration really has been with tourism, talking big money, building lots of concrete structures, and talking about the hotels are going to bring lots of jobs. And to a degree, I guess that is true, even though, on average, 85% of the money generated in agriculture leaves the island. But the problem really stems from integration. We've been single minded in terms of how we've been trying to grow the economy. And even today, anybody looking at the economy will tell you that, the growth is in tourism and to a lesser extent, it's in construction. Construction comes and goes. So I think over 80% or 87% of our economy is in the service sector. So when you have such a big part of your economy in the service sector and you focus all your attention on that, what tends to happen is what's happening now. For example, we have issues with water. And is the water going to go to the schools? Or is it going to go to the hotels?
They don't even include the farmers in it.
Schools, hotel, or is it going to go to the ministry? And as you say, Mr. Pierre, we haven't included the farmers in it. And I think, these are the issues in terms of abandonment because all the light and attention is on the hotels, and making sure that they have water. And I think government has signaled recently that we need to take a more balanced views and see how we could manage these scarce resources. Now, at the moment, in terms of farming and feeling of abandonment or neglect, I think at the moment, what's happening is that we're into this culture of using what has traditionally worked for a few, and that is the importation of food. The hotel imports the vast majority of what it needs, including food, into the island, and it's much easier to have one person bring in 20 containers than take goods or services or food from 500 farmers. The hotels will tell you that they don't want to deal with 500 farmers. They want a system in place that maybe one aggregator brings all the food from them for the 500. And that's not a problem. The second thing that they will tell you is that the farmers are unreliable, they can't produce in quantity, and their responsibility is to their guest. And that story, obviously, I've heard before. I often hear Africa is poor and it can't produce and will remain poor. And now, those who look into those things know that in order for North America and Europe to maintain its lifestyle, Africa has to be poor because Europe needs the resources of Africa to be sold to it cheaply so that it can make its products. And if African products were sold to Europeans and North American at a fair price or at a market price, I mean, there'd be massive changes. And to maintain that poverty in Africa, you find, European government, North American government will support the private armies in these countries to maintain controls of the country natural resources. There's been a recent uprising in Africa to get rid of that kind of status quo that has kept a lot of African country fighting amongst itself and being poor. When people are fighting amongst themselves for just as country, they can't develop, and therefore, they fight among themselves, and somebody is just pulling all the resources away and giving them a little so that they can continue fighting amongst themselves. So,
You think the African will wake up, or the Chinese and the Russians and the Indians are telling the Africans, time to throw the Europeans and take us to fill this space?
well, that may be the case, but the truth is I don't know. What I have been seeing is there seem to be a younger generation and more of a awareness going on, and not only from the younger generations of African, but also from some of the Africans who've been educated all around the world. The Ghanaian president, I keep an eye on ever so often, and one of the things that I'm looking to see if it will work at all in Ghana, the Ghanaian government is saying clearly they no longer willing to just export their raw materials to Europe or North America. They want every one of their raw material to be processed or secondary processed in Ghana and then sold. Because
Do you believe this strategy of taking this blanket position in the short and medium term could have serious consequences for Ghana?
yes.
Because you know that in the Caribbean when we experimented with socialism.
Uh-huh.
Bonham tried that.
Yeah.
Jamaica attempted it with democratic socialism,
Mm-hmm.
and Bonham with cooperative socialism,
Mm-hmm.
and the adverse effect that he had.
Yeah, I think what we've been missing in the Caribbean really is the diplomatic skills to know how to wiggle, to know where to have alliances, etc.
To demele,
Yeah,
as the people must say, we must know how to demele.
yeah, because one of the things that the revolution was very strong on in terms of bishop was that Grenada was independent, and well, I feel that Grenada is far from independent. I mean, independent in name only. I mean, I wish we could get to the point of interdependence.
When Maurice Bishop said that,
Mm,
Maurice Bishop backed it up with a statement that had Grenadians either baffled,
mm,
scared, or feeling good.
yeah.
When you're out of Grenada and you're here, if you touch Cuba, you touch Nicaragua, you touch Grenada. Well, according to where he was, you're feeling good, like a Bajan.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Particularly if you had a bracelet in your hand and an
Mhm.
afro.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
in some quarters, you had to get free.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think people often don't really understand that we're just a little tittery in the ocean. I think that is what people don't understand, and that power politics is very cruel, and essentially those with the power look after their interests. They might say some kind words to you every so often, but and they're not really interested in you unless you have some
And why
resources,
not?
you know.
I mean, come on. If you have, sometimes I say our relationship with the West is like a big elephant in the room, and
Hmm.
every time they turn wrong, we must smile
Hmm.
and say
Hmm.
things going good.
Yeah.
But our leaders must learn to demele. They
Hmm.
must learn not all the time you call a spade a spade.
Hmm.
Sometimes you have to call it a shovel. And
Hmm.
not because you have a big mouth and a long ears doesn't make you a hybrid pig. You must learn to be diplomatic and seek your
Hmm.
interests.
Yeah. But we have a culture, listening to you, that likes excitement and a big voice and a big laugh. We have that kind of culture. And one of the things I've been thinking about in terms of your question, in terms of has the farmers been abandoned? And what came to my mind was hard work. I look at, the politics of our island in terms of how elections are run. Elections are like a big party. Everybody's celebrating, pushing their hands up and dancing, and music is playing. And the reality is, effective government is hard work, just as farming. Farming is hard work, and unless you're prepared to do the hard work, you're not going to get beyond winning elections. And so to move the country forward is very hard. After all the celebrations of winning and naming ministers and all those kinds of stuff, the hard work begins, and farming is hard work. And if farming doesn't have an effective voice, be it the minister, be it the senator, and objective history would demonstrate we probably haven't had, great advocate in agriculture, because now what we're seeing is the policies that our own government pursue over the last 50 years or so hasn't really benefited agriculture. In terms of tourism and linking agriculture to tourism, there really isn't a formal legislative link. Basic policy hasn't included agriculture. What we see now, as we're trying to climb up the hill or the wall, is that as we make a step, we see in, on the wall, bottles everywhere sticking out. With There's no way for us to hold on to pull ourselves up, because what we see now is that we're trying to get farmers to link up with the hotels, and the hotels are very clear based on our policies, in terms of concessions, in terms of incentive. They can bring in food on average 40% cheaper than what we can produce here. And when you listen to the hoteliers talk, or the representative, they sound very convincing. And it's clear listening to them that they really don't understand what's going on. They come to Grenada with this kind of superior, dominant attitude and view in terms of, that kind of arrogance, not unwilling to even grasp the subject and learn why it is that there is such an imbalance. They see it as a right. They have a right, to come to places like Grenada and enjoy a dominant position. And it may well be that the policies that exist at the moment have been done inadvertently. I can't believe that our ministers would, consciously advocate policies that will tie Grenadian hands behind their back. And this isn't something I'm criticizing the current government about, but because this has been going on for over 50 years, and it seems to be some kind of continued neglect of the farming community. Oh, what I think it really is, there hasn't been a connectivity with government policies and the wider society. So we haven't had what a lot of countries have, which is a think tank. For example, you have people thinking your population will double in 100 years. What would that mean to your schools, your roads, your cars, your bridges, etc.? What would that mean to your tax basis? So we have not really always been forward thinking in terms of a society as we grow.
Joshua, at this present time, we have perhaps the most qualified intellectual minds around in agriculture. We also have representation at the highest level in Grenada. The
Mhm,
farmers are represented at the highest level in the
mhm,
upper house.
mhm,
And most of the individuals who are in charge of organization, whether it's nutmeg, cocoa, bee, everybody now seems to be tertiary educated.
mhm,
So we should have some of the best representation. And
mhm.
that is why we ask, are the people who are representing us in the highest level, the people who are representing the farmers, are they knowingly or unknowingly abandon the farmers?
I think they don't have a full grasp of what's going on at times. They tend to have a grasp of an issue. So, for example, let me give you, for example, lots of people talk about the poultry industry, and the poultry industry is about to kind of explode in the next few months with the reopening of the Montrose project and the one in Crowshoe. And what people don't do is to look at the history, to look at the legislation, and to see how that kind of frames the industry. It's like an issue comes up and everybody jumps on it, and that's it. So it's not a well-rounded understanding in terms of all the issues that affect that sector or subsector. Now, you go to university, say in the US or London, and you learn in agriculture. You would learn the legislation, the major issues, there'll be, different people who have papers on it. I mean, where's that being done in Grenada? Who knows about the issues with Caribbean agro? Who knows about the legislation? Who knows about George Brizan and what he did, in terms of the agreement? These are the things that should be taught at least TAMCC when you're doing agriculture, how these things impact on agriculture, not just how to kind of put a seed in the ground and let some kind of process take place and let it grow, but it's far more than just digging
We
holes.
cannot, when we ask the question, what, why we abandon the Grenadian farmer? It's
Yeah.
so easy for us who were once children of slaves
Mhm.
to jump up and attack the white man.
Mhm. Mhm.
But over the years, you have the Chinese, you have
Mhm.
the yellow man,
Yeah.
you have the Russians as a result when the ideology comes in and Marxist Leninism and socialism and capitalism and petty bourgeoisism.
Mhm.
Now, the question is, in today's setting, our people is as educated as any other person in the country. We have representation at the highest level. But are they representing us? And we don't want to say they are malicious.
No,
But do
they're
they?
not. Mhm.
It's a question of ignorance, you say, that they don't know how to represent us and they're afraid to say they don't know. Is it that?
Um, the truth is, I don't know. I have experience of seeing people who are very opinionated in the open, and when it comes to a meeting, it's like they suddenly lose their voice. Or I've seen that several times in meetings that I've attended. It's like this slump. Something happens, and and the example is this. I mean, when I go in the meeting, I'll tell the man this and I'll tell him that and whatnot. And they go in the meeting and they don't even say a word.
Well, it seems this seems to be a phenomenon
Mhm.
that
Mm,
is entrenched in this country. We
mm.
have some people speaking loud,
Yeah,
but if you start to ask them questions, they duck.
yeah, yeah.
I always like to ask people, give me reasons, give me justification
Mhm,
why you have that position,
mhm,
you know?
mhm,
And all of a sudden, these big loud talkers look as they swallow the tongue.
mhm.
But I do not seriously blame the big companies. The big companies get an opportunity to come to Grenada to make money.
Mhm.
In this present dispensation, we are even providing the money for them.
Yes.
Our forefathers,
Can you believe that?
no, some of our forefathers, if they wake up
Mm.
and see what's going on, they will die again.
Do,
Why do I say that?
mm,
After Hurricane Ivan, a woman sent the children up in Granford to see the land. The house didn't fall. The husband just built a house. So she tell the children, go up in Granford to see the land. Because all the lands around the area, all the nutmeg on the ground.
mhm.
So the children go up. And when she come back, she say, all you see the land? They say, mm-hmm. What going on with the land? Mm. Mm-hmm. She said, tell me what, mommy, you don't know, no. You don't know, mommy, you don't know.
Mm.
She said, what going on in the land? One of the boys said, mommy, if daddy didn't dead, you'd have dead, you know. Because the father died about 3 months ago.
Mhm, mhm,
But when he saw the land,
mhm,
he was convinced that if his father didn't dead,
mhm.
he'd have dead. And a number of farmers die after Ivan.
Mhm,
Could
mhm,
you imagine one woman she used to sell on the average 300 pounds of nutmeg a week.
mhm, mhm.
And when they tell her all the nutmeg fall, they say, mommy, all did not make fall. She say all, they say all. Not a tree remain, not a tree remain. She started to sing, Walk with me, oh my God. In about 2 months, she was dead.
Oh God, yeah.
Now we have extremely intelligent minds.
Mm-hmm.
They represent us at the highest level.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them have master's degree, PhD,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and they give us the impression that they could represent us.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the question I'm asking.
What is the end
I
result?
cannot believe that they are malicious.
Mm-hmm.
So is it that they don't know, but they don't want to tell us they don't know how to represent us?
One of the things I see quite often as well is people understand things superficially. Like I say to a lot of people when I'm talking, the Caribbean Sea looks nice and calm and beautiful, but underneath it is a different story. There's like sharks in there as well as dolphins, and we have some beautiful sculptures as well for people to dive and see. But I think the depth of understanding is not really always understood at times, and the complexities are not understood at times. People find it easy, to copy without really understanding the substance of what they're copying. So, for example, we've gone ahead with the CBI projects, and it's brought in. I saw something that said it brought in $1 billion recently. That's a lot of money for a small developing country like Grenada. And the first thing in my mind is, well, some of that money has to be transferred in terms of our water system and in terms of our farming community. Because without food and without water, we can't farm, we can't eat really. Importing food is not sustainable. Over and over, that will not work. So we have to kind of basically broaden our economy and get balance in it. And one of the things
How do we do it if the people who represent us hardly engaging in discussion with us and it doesn't seem to know?
it's hard, but I mean, countries progress despite the melee and the mis kind of information and the infighting. You can still make progress as a country, even like our system. Where it seems at times it's a tribalism system. You're on this side or you're on that side. Even countries that operate like that can move forward because at the,
Where agriculture is concerned,
we're
we
moving
should be
backwards.
on the side of agriculture. Because
Yeah,
in truth and in fact, the market is not controlled politically.
no.
And the people who represent us have not been doing a good job.
Mm,
We don't know if they don't have the ability or they don't find out how to do it.
mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
the farmers have to understand, I want my thing sell. I
Yeah.
want money for it.
Mm-hmm,
Either I sell it locally, I
mm-hmm,
sell it to the hotel industry, or
mm-hmm.
we export it.
Yeah, but Mr. Pierre, it's okay talking, in terms of agriculture pricing and selling, but the image that comes to my mind is that our hands are handcuffed behind our backs as a farmer, and we are sent out there to farm. You cannot compete where there isn't an enabling environment. Well, far from not being an enabling environment, we have a hostile environment whereby we have the hotels in this dominant position because of our policies. We have tied or handcuffed ourselves, and that is what we should be concentrating on. How should we level the playing fields quickly? How could we change policy so that the farmer has an even playing field in which to farm on? That is critical. It's no good us keep saying this is the problem, this is the problem. There must be a call to arms where we are saying to the policymakers, this is a really critical situation that you have to address. And I've seen policies and law enacted in a matter of weeks. When we were doing the structural adjustment program and the IMF requested a number of new legislations to be in place, these things were being done in days. They were being done and enacted in Parliament. So we have a situation now where we have a hostile
But
environment for
does the
farming.
farmer knows the environment is hostile?
No,
That's another issue.
yeah, on the main, the farmer doesn't know. He's not aware of how the policies affect him, and quite often farmers take the view, "Me not interested in policy," But that is critical.
You see, we have to, maybe sometimes I say, I believe we have to have answers. The
Yeah.
first stakeholder here is the farmer. The
Hmm.
farmer is getting screwed.
Hmm.
I'm individual who don't believe Europe or the Chinese or the Indians is responsible for screwing the farmers.
Hmm.
We have representation at the highest level.
Hmm.
We have people who pretend they know, and
Hmm.
we have people who is not interacting enough with the farmer.
Hmm.
So even this program here is to provoke discussion among the farmers.
Hmm.
What are the areas? We have the poultry industry, we have the fishing industry, the soursop industry, the cocoa industry, and the chocolate industry.
Hmm.
You see how I separate them?
Hmm.
Because it appears to me it's two different issues going on there.
Hmm.
What are the potentials for other industry? We have the honey industry
Hmm.
or the beekeeping industry.
Hmm.
We have the sea moss industry.
Hmm.
We have the flowers industry.
Yeah.
We have small ruminants.
Hmm.
So even if we can excel in everything, and we don't have to excel in everything, we could start to work on the areas where we have a competitive edge.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that is where those who claim they're representing us, we must hold them accountable. The policy makers, which generally will be the government, the farmers' representative in the Senate,
Hmm.
our intelligentsia in the Ministry of Agriculture,
Hmm.
and our farmers.
Yeah. It seems before you could hold them accountable, they would retire, you know, because there's a new generation of leadership in the Ministry of Agriculture. And essentially, is there any real difference? Is there any real change? And I'm not convinced that change comes from the ministry. What I'm convinced is good policies and the creation of that enabling environment really should come from, the ministry. The ministry.
If the government and the ministry don't have policy, and they don't know what policy they have, they wake up this morning and they hear something and they make a statement. It's
Yeah.
not a policy.
No, that's not
You
a.
have to have a policy so the policy have continuity.
Yeah.
And there must be buy-in in the policy
Yeah.
by all the stakeholders.
Yeah. But you must understand, again, this is what I say, the political game seemed to be a party. People having a party, going to a show and dancing and all the rest of it. But actual kind of government and government change is hard work. So nobody wants to get bogged down in terms of, change in policy, getting resistance from people, understanding agreements and documents. These are hard work, and I'm not convinced, that everybody has the belly for that level of hard work. So it becomes, very difficult. And it I can say based on my experience, people tend to avoid hard work on controversial subjects. And those are the subjects that you need to be willing to enter and to make better and make change. if you are going to deal with the issues, because at the moment, we had the contraction in terms of agriculture, 6%. And I said it before. I mean, where's the statement from the Minister of Agriculture? Where is the plan? What is our plan to rectify that situation? What is our plan to move forward? So you have to essentially link everything, and you have to give a boost to agriculture or to the farmers. Otherwise, this feeling of, we've been forgotten as farmers will just continue.
Forgotten is a nice word. Abandon seems to be an unacceptable word. I don't have a word between. But I like you said the party, the fetting attitude. The
Yeah.
Prime Minister of Singapore,
Mm-hmm.
one that a lot of Caribbean people like to quote,
Mm-hmm.
he stole his people after visiting Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
He said, don't be like the Caribbean people.
Mm.
They produce nothing. They
Mm-hmm.
consume everything.
Mm-hmm.
And every day they're celebrating and drinking.
Yeah.
And nobody in the Caribbean could have taken man.
Yeah.
And we have to be able to zero in. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I believe we have to zero in on somebody.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't wake up everybody, wake up the farmer.
Mm-hmm.
If you the people who claim they're representing us
Mm-hmm.
in the farming industry, they're not doing a good job.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretending. Either they don't know or they're malicious.
Well, I think the objective evidence will say that things are not getting better. And I think, how do you hold people accountable for outcomes? Because, the raising awareness, I believe is a good thing. But is it the structure of the system that doesn't really produce the end results? So you have a senator of agriculture with no secretariat, no nothing, no policy kind of researcher, and they go in there and they do their best, answer questions, and then the term finish and somebody else come and they repeat it.
I like the word best because best is relative.
Yeah.
I remember we had a senator used to walk around and he tried best too.
Yeah.
Prickle all over his body, he say he tried best. But
But what about the minister? The minister is the one with the power. The minister of agriculture is the one with power. The senator is more of an advocate.
I thought the senator would have put the minister sit down.
Mhm.
I thought I have the greatest confidence in the senator. I don't know. I've never seen him. I've never been with a meeting with him at any high level.
Mhm.
But I thought he'd have put the minister for agriculture sit down on the blessed assurance and say this is the way we have to go.
Yeah.
But out of that, there is no hope.
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe the farmers have to understand that you have the ability to produce.
Mhm.
Not because people tell you do good, mean you do good.
Yeah.
They've been telling us that for us, for us to stay in a state of paralysis and not productive.
And for them to import and make greater profit, because the way that it really works is the system is designed to fail the farmers at the moment. So you have a system that's been operated by the hotels, and the system is one that does not give contract. And
If I was a hotel, I would have object strongly to you.
yeah,
This thing is not um, made to fail the farmers. It is designed for me to make profit.
yeah. Well, that's
If you fail, you fail.
No, I'm talking about the system. You're talking about the goal of the hotel, which is to make.
Well, we were part. We had to be part of designing the system.
Yeah, but agriculture was left out, and that is the
Well,
problem.
who responsible for agriculture living out?
Yeah.
When we was pushing tourism, at this state, we practically provide the money for the
Yeah.
people to build the hotel, and
Yes,
we still live out to self.
yeah.
What happened? Maybe we eat too much.
No, what's happening is that the joined up, there's the connectivity that's supposed to happen in government, just like a business. When a business is making a major decision, all the heads of department are there and have to take responsibility and advocate for their section so that their section is included. I'm not sure whether we have the same system. It may well be that the people who give the concessions and do the plans, that unit, has a board and they approve it, and then it goes to the minister of finance and deal done. I'm not sure
I've
how it.
always encouraged our people, when you go to any serious meeting, be careful what you eat.
Mm,
Don't eat too much sweet. Don't take dessert.
mm,
After lunch, you use a strong coffee because we tend to sleep when the document is being signed.
oh,
So we
God.
spend a lot of time in discussion. But when we end up with a document, the document seems to be against us.
Yeah.
You cannot send people to represent you at the highest level. And when you read the final document, the document is not in your interest.
Yeah.
It means maybe they talk in the morning, but after lunch they slept.
Yeah. Something
And
happened.
that's when the document signed.
Yeah. But also GIDC has to take some
Well,
responsibility.
GIDC is us,
Yeah, I know.
Uh,
No, but they have to take some responsibility for the area of softness in our agreement that they haven't been strong enough to really advocate
I
for.
like you the word you use, softness. I talking about abandonment.
Yeah, because one of the things I know GIDC is aware of, because I've been in discussions with the CEO of GIDC, and one of the things I know he agrees upon is this: that all hoteliers or restaurant or businesses coming into Grenada wanting to do business, there should be a target, not a law, a target that they take 20% of local produce.
Why not a law?
Well, a law tend to be like a command. You
Well,
have
we
to.
that give them the money to make the hotel.
Well,
We right now we went outside it, negotiate with the Americans and others
mhm.
to get funding from the CBI program to fund the hoteliers to come here so that we could get a little kickback.
Well, I
That's
think
that's not what it seems like.
no, I think you're right. Why not a law? And I think when I reflect on my thought is, sometimes Caribbean people can be too accommodating, and at times I'm too accommodating as well. It should be a law.
You see, we have the poultry industry.
Hmm.
Now, even you people have to have protein. So there is a time. So you say in the first 5 years, 40% of the production you must buy from us.
Yeah.
You have the fishing industry.
Hmm.
You have the soursop industry.
Hmm.
Well, this one you have a market for it.
Hmm.
You, the government, have to go and plant soursop.
Yeah, but you know what's missing, I think, in my opinion, is a champion. These subsectors need a champion to represent them.
Well, that's not what we're trying to do here. To provoke discussion. By the time you finish here, everybody get vexed with you.
Yeah.
But at least if they get vexed with you, it means you're touching a button.
Yeah.
We have we have a market for soursop in the United States.
Yeah.
Anytime Mexico come in, crapple smoke with pipe.
Yeah. Or the Central Americans. Let
We,
me tell you a little bit about poultry, because the poultry policy wasn't something that was paid for. I was, along with members from the ministry and members of the association, wrote the policy because nobody would be willing to write it, take on such a task, such a hard work. I had never written a policy before, but I felt I could write, I could read, I could understand. So we wrote a very simple policy, and one of the things that we said, it should be reviewed every year, so it's improved and we have ownership of it. Now that policy brought in about 60 million of new investment currently into the poultry subsector. Had we not done it, you'd never hear about 40% local market share. You'd not hear about the minister having the power to kind of refuse, import license to people who want to import. So it created
We
that.
have a template. We have a beachhead. We have
Mhm.
something to speak about. We
Yeah.
have
So,
something to talk. And when we talk, we jeer them and
mhm.
challenge them. Take us on.
Yeah.
It is workable.
Yeah.
So we continue.
Yeah.
In the same way, the sauce up industry.
Yeah.
The question is simple in sauce up. You have a ready-made market,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that statement means,
Mm.
but you don't have sauce up.
Mm-hmm.
Government have land. Government have workers.
Mm-hmm.
Government have resources. Plan damn sauce up.
Yeah.
End of story.
So sub takes a little while.
3 years.
Yeah, to plan, but the money really is in linking um the hotels with the farmers, because it's 3 months
Well,
before.
in this case now,
Hold
the
on, hold
sauce
on.
up not going to hotel.
Yeah, yeah, the hotel will take the sauce up as well. I have an argument for that. So, you can take the lettuce. What is it? 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and you get in money.
21 days, but 6 weeks is right.
Yeah. So the money is immediate. People are eating all the time. You have a low period. I think usually from May to August or September or something, where you have a low period in terms of that industry. Oh, sorry. But the link, between the farmers and the hotels is monumental in terms of potential profitability. And what we have is the mercantile gap for Grenada, whereby basically what it means is that we are importing more, more and more. So the gap is getting wider in terms of the amount of money that's we leaking.
Because the
imports.
people who are representing us is not doing a good job. With the people who representing us in agriculture, whether it's in parliament, whether it's in the Senate, whether it's in the university, whether it's in agriculture, they're not seeking the interests of the farmers. And the farmers have to start to ask these questions. What are you doing? Somebody have to ask it. Or maybe we who are...
But we know the inhibitors already in terms of what's holding agriculture back. Now we have to deal with these inhibitors if we're going to move forward. As you've said a few times, and I've smiled every time you said it, we're giving them the money to build the hotels.
That's not what we're doing. We have this CBI program. We have $1 billion summit this year. Money is not a problem in Grenada.
Mm-hmm.
The minister said money is not a problem. The budget that we presented for the projected budget, we are making more money, collecting more than what we projected.
Mm-hmm.
The CBI program, we are collecting more money but we shock. We shock with the amount of money we collect.
Yeah.
We start to talk about $1 billion.
Yeah.
We have money.
And our budget is
Doing fine.
No, our budget is about $1 billion. So
the budget is about $1 billion. We're bringing in cars galore. We're bringing in vehicles. So the question is not money.
Mm-hmm.
It's where our emphasis is.
Yeah.
In all this present, it seems as if the farmer is being shafted. If we're going to give hotels money, we're giving the entrepreneur or the businessman, or how you call it, money to build the hotels.
The developer.
We provide the land. I like the word developer. we provide the land. We give them money to build the hotel. What we expect to get, maybe 100, 200 jobs, and we get benefit to sell our product.
Yeah, and the jobs benefit them. It doesn't benefit us, because if they had to take workers from abroad, it'll cost them 10 times as much.
Right.
So they are a net beneficiary. we also can claim that we benefit as well. But the argument that likes to be pushed is that you do all of that for us and we'll give you employment.
So why government can take some of this money and plant 30 acres of sauce up?
Yeah.
Why government cannot take some of this money and look at the fishing industry and the challenges that they have?
Hmm.
Ask them why you cannot produce good quality tuners and etc. and help them.
Yeah.
Why government cannot take some of this money and continue to bring marketing board on your head?
Hmm.
Because you're bringing the hotel on your head.
Hmm.
And nothing wrong in
Yeah.
capitalist countries because United States of America helped to bring the big car companies and giant and Amazon on their head.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why we can do it here?
We can. It's the will to do it.
Well, it's not the will, it's people to tell them stop that. Stop pretending. The farmers have to tell these people, you're lying, you're tricking us, you're deceiving us, you're not representing us. The language that the farmers must start to zero in. If you want somebody to speak sophisticated university language, prepare for a thesis, it's not that what you want. You want the man to simple plan more sour soup.
Yeah.
And that is the language that must come from the farmers.
Yeah, and I think that that's right. There's sometimes seems an absence of a major strategic plan and leadership, because this has been going on for far too long. I'm always amazed at how we lost banana and there was not a substitute plan for banana. And the fact of the matter now, we can't get enough bananas on the island.
Well, there are countries we could take example from. We could take example from Israel,
Mm-hmm.
Singapore.
Mm-hmm.
We always have they call in Singapore, so calling them too.
Yeah.
And same the United States of America.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're a small country, 110,000 people in it.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the giants in Grenada are farmers.
Mm-hmm.
When people tell me they don't respect the farmers, I tell the farmers, you don't respect yourself, you want people to respect you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I had an encounter with a farmer. The farmer man driving an SUV, leave St. Patrick's, come down Grenville for some rat poison. Because the ministry was giving out rat poison.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, the ministry giving out a few packets of rat poison. They're not for you.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you take a SUV from St. Patrick's and come down.
Mm-hmm.
Why you didn't go and do farming today?
Mm-hmm.
So you have a bad mentality. You pretending you're poor. I said, let's go in the rum shop and forget this rat poison, man. Well, I encourage him to go in the rum shop and buy some beer. I said, buy rat poison and go.
Mm-hmm.
Stop that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or I gave him some ideas to make trap
Mm-hmm.
and put in his land.
Mm-hmm.
Get a cat.
Mm-hmm.
When you reach in the shop, I said, what you doing in rat poison? Build a little bamboo house in your land
Mm-hmm.
and bring a cat. Every day you go feed the cat.
Yeah.
What you talking about going for some rat poison? Next thing you bring it home, you vex with your woman every day.
Yeah.
She drop a little
Yeah.
poison in your food.
Yeah, but Mr. Pierre, we really have to create that link. We really have to stop that abandonment of the farmer, because this thing is in front of us. As I've listened to you, we have invited the investors and we've given them money, but we have to link that investment with our local
But
people.
that is
So.
where the challenge is.
Mhm.
Remember,
And we have the power. We are the drivers. I mean, there's nothing to stop government doing legislation to make that happen. There's nothing for government to call the hoteliers together and say we want a voluntary agreement. We've given you everything you've asked for. Now we are asking that we have some gains from this project for our people. We want you to invest in local food, agriculture, etc. We're not saying all, but we want a minimum of 20% that you take from us. We want you to help the farmers with irrigation. We want you to have partnerships with the farmers so that you're going to get the produce that you want. This is not an isolated program. This program has to be integrated with farming, as well as all the benefit and concessions that we've given you from finance so far.
we have 5 minutes more, Joshua, and we rounding up now. The question is, what do we do? We identify some of the challenges we have. People are abandoning. What do we do?
hmm we really, really have to link agriculture with tourism because it's existing. There's a need for it. We don't need handouts. We need an opportunity to have a level playing field and let our farmers loose. We need to encourage and develop contracts because when people have contracts and they have that surety, they can raise money for their investment to build greenhouses, shade houses, to produce more than what is required. That is how the whole world operates in terms of business. Why is Grenadian farmers being asked to do something that doesn't work? You know, produce and wait at home and see if we'll give you a call for it. That does not work. That does not motivate. That does not encourage. You know, the hotels have to plan months in advance when they're buying products, sometimes 6 months before they order their products to come in. They have that lead time. Give the farmers in Grenada similar lead times. Give them contract. Support them. Go in partnership with them in terms of buying irrigation equipment so that they could farm. You know, let's do something that works. Stop this nonsense of letting farmer do things that we know doesn't work. We had 50 years already of using a system that we keep saying the farmers can't produce, keep saying that they're not dependable. Why are you still using that system when you know it doesn't work?
Because maybe we are responsible for abandoning our own people. Those who want to put themselves up to represent the farmers must examine these individuals and see if the individuals have guts. Because they're talking around you, but when they go in meeting, they lose all their skills and appetite. Once they're in power, they're hiding. They're running away from the farmers and they don't have answers. And maybe the farmers in your little corner, in your house, on the block, on the rum shop, you have to start to sit down and discuss issues in terms of the poultry industry, the fishing industry, the sauce up industry, the cocoa industry, the nutmeg industry. These are industries that we have market for. We may not be satisfied with the price, but there is a market for it. Then we could look at the potential industry, the honey industry. A bottle of honey in Grenada is about $60, a 750 ml. Smart beekeepers don't sell honey in 750 ml. They sell it in 250, 100 ml. Because as the size go down, the price go up. The flowers industry is crying out for development. The small ruminant industry, the Ministry of Agriculture years ago have abandoned cattle. They say we don't have the land for cattle. Help the people who are the too cow, but forget the cattle industry and invest in the small ruminant industry. My God, lettuce is 21 days, let's say 6 weeks, because we slow. So why we have to be importing lettuce? This is
Yeah,
a joke,
yeah.
you know?
And it
And,
requires the technology.
and as we come to the end of the program, once again, we have to apologize because we have some technical difficulties with the internet. So we were not able to take calls. And this program will be a recorded program on agriculture. So now you know anytime we have technical difficulties, we're going to record our program. And we're going to start yeah, immediately with the next part of the program on the Galaxy Equalizers. Joshua, thank you very much.
Thank you. I enjoy being here.